for you Lizzo haters, y'all about to eat. Just letting you know, she has a lot of haters. Y'all about to eat, and I'm curious to know what y'all gonna say in the comments. Now y'all gonna have another a legitimate reason to hate her.
I'm wondering what you mean by
I'm gonna
that.
say.
Yeah. I was like, are you about to lead with hate right now?
No, because I think before I learned about all this, I thought they just hating on her because she's overweight, and that's fucked up.
Clearly,
not
yeah,
cool.
that was an obvious reason.
Clearly,
yeah,
right. But then and some people have other reasons where they say like she's minstrel showing, which I agree with to a certain extent.
Hold on, let's unpack that for a second.
Yeah.
How?
Well,
she's one of the most pro-black people that I know.
They don't say that. They don't just say this about her in particular, but they say just like the whole like twerking on stage and like showing her ass and like going to like public settings with like remember she went to that concert and like she had like a dress that was like the ass was like cut out.
She was at the Laker game, yeah.
She was at the Laker game, yeah. Like a lot of people they don't like her for that. But the minstrel showing is that she was like playing like the people said she like plays up to like the mammy kind of stereotype. Like,
if she was skinny, would we still say that though?
Probably not.
So it leads with the hate of the fat phobicness.
That's true. We see it all roots from there. But the one that I kind of agree with, out of all that other stuff that I don't agree with, is the playing the crystal flute of the slave master guy. That's kind of coonish.
Wait, what?
Remember she was playing that? This is like over a year ago. She was like playing this crystal flute that belonged to like a slave master.
Oh, I didn't know it belonged to a slave master. I remember they were making a big deal out of the fact that it was like some historical flute, but I didn't know it was a slave master. So she shouldn't have done that.
No, I think that's coonish. I'm not like like I'm trying to think of it like a modern example. If I'm like this mic was made by a guy who's a notorious. He owns this mic company. It was made by a notorious anti-black racist, and I'm like, I am honored to speak on top of your podcast with this mic. Like you know what I mean? Like,
I see what you mean. I didn't think about it like that, but I didn't even know that. I'm surprised I didn't make a bigger deal. You're the first person that's ever told me about that.
But yeah, let's unpack Lizzo.
Let's open it up.
There's a lawsuit against Lizzo, her dance company, and one of her dance captains.
Yes, sir.
For a myriad of offenses.
Yeah.
So two of her dancers are suing them because on one occasion, she asked them to come to an Amsterdam sex show, and they were uncomfortable going, but they felt like their employment would be jeopardized if they went. And when they went, they were being pressured to touch some of the dancers sexually.
Yeah, sexually.
And they refused to do so, and they were very uncomfortable.
No, I think they did, and then they started applauding, and then they started like kind of like laughing at them at the fact that
I didn't see that they actually did it, but I do remember that they said they were uncomfortable. That's even worse.
Yeah,
honestly.
And like just in that one situation, like I don't want to make it seem like I'm leading in this conversation with the fact that like there's excuses as to the reason why they shouldn't have been in these situations. But with that particular situation, I really do feel like they had the authority and autonomy to just kind of get themselves out of that situation. It was number one, it wasn't mandatory for them to go to that strip club.
Right.
Let's say they just wanted to, they felt that their employment was in danger, whatever. You're going to be treated differently if you're not hanging out with Lizzo, whatever. I understand that point. That's why I don't want to make it seem like I'm saying that it wasn't, like they shouldn't have been in that situation. It probably wasn't anything that they could help. But at the same time, like the peer pressure thing, I've never really vibed with the whole idea that like peer pressure it's real, but I don't know if it's real to the point where like you can't escape peer pressure.
But this is where I gotta disagree, is because I look at this from like a Japanese culture perspective. Like in Japanese culture, work all day, you leave when the boss leaves. So the boss, if he's like, fuck it, I'm getting at 6 a.m., I'm leaving at 9. Right? And you only work from 6 to 3.
Which is why they're there.
He said, exactly. But he's like, you don't leave until he leaves, and he's a workaholic, you're fucked.
Which is why they're there, yeah.
And then he's like, you know what, y'all? We're going to go drinking from 9 to 1. All right. Now, if you don't go, it's looked down upon. Like,
I don't know, man. I still feel like that's what we were talking about earlier. I still feel like if you really felt like you were in an uncomfortable situation, if you really felt like this was a toxic environment, we're going to get to other cases that they were talking about too. If this is just one of the cases, I'm sure there were plenty that happened beforehand. if it's that toxic to where you're constantly feeling uncomfortable, you're constantly feeling like they're pressuring you to do certain things that are against your principles and against who you are as a person, leave that situation. Which means like quit that job. You don't have to.
That's a good point.
And who wants, like, obviously if you're a dancer, being a fucking touring dancer with Lizzo, great accomplishment. Anybody would want that, right? So it's like you don't want to lose that opportunity. But at the same time, it's like, yeah, that's a resume changer. But at the same time, it's like, bro, like this is a toxic environment. I would leave that. I would leave that. I'm sorry. Like,
yeah.
And I don't want to make it seem like I'm blaming them. I'm not blaming them for anything. But at the same time, like you have the opportunity to get yourself out of that situation. You just chose not to do it because you fell into peer pressure.
And yeah, but I'm just saying, like, if that's the best job you probably ever gonna find, that's your big break, right? You're not gonna be a backup dancer for a star as big as Lizzo ever again. You might want to stay and get that resume booster, but you're gonna be kind of forced to do some unfavorable stuff.
Your choice. That's your choice.
That's questionable. It's your choice, but if you get sued for it, I don't know I mean, what can you really say? You shouldn't have been, to Lizzo, I mean, you shouldn't have been making them do that shit.
What else
if you
were they
get
talking
sued,
about?
oh well. There's a lot of stuff. There's another one where there was a I believe it was another dancer, it was a male dancer. She pulled his pants down and started beating him with whips. Now, he wasn't in the lawsuit, but they brought that up. But I don't know, man. Maybe we don't know. See, we don't know if he enjoyed it. He was
I'm
cool
just
with
playing.
it. But like,
I don't want to make light of it, but I'm just playing.
That's like straight up sexual harassment, like just period.
And that was like
we don't know if
the majority of the
sexual assault.
Yeah, the majority of the accusations were sexual assault and sexual harassment.
There's some more fat shaming where she was fat shamed, specifically her black dancers, and she wouldn't say shit to the white dancers. Apparently, she called them. She was using all the white supremacist stereotypes. They were lazy and uncouth and all not showing up on time and all kinds of stuff, and that's why they're gaining weight because they're lazy.
Yeah,
it's like, Lizzo, stop.
Yeah,
and if anything, them gaining weight probably falls in line more with her body positivity.
That's what she was going for. I think I
don't even really know what she's talking about.
I think she made a conscious decision to make sure that she was including plus size people as her dancers, primarily black women too. I think that was like her whole shtick.
Exactly,
that's her brand.
I don't even know what she's talking about.
Yeah, that's why it was such a shock to hear that this news came out about her being like a bully in those situations. Maybe she's self-loathing. But that's why it was such a shock, because that's your entire brand. Like you champion that issue the most. So for actually you to be behind closed doors, not down with what you're trying to preach to the masses, it's almost like, what do you call that? Where it's like
grifting.
Yeah, it's like a grift. It's weird. I did not expect that, and I'm not a big like Lizzo fan at all. But
he's pandering towards black women.
I did not expect that. Yeah.
But we don't really know how he feels behind closed doors. But like, it's like she's just pandering. She has a whole fan base of people who are body positivity, maybe plus size, and she probably just think they all fat asses. But like, this is the truth.
I wonder
like,
what she thinks about herself.
She probably doesn't care.
It's probably
like,
self-loathing.
It's pretty self-loathing because people were saying like the internet. This is the internet before this broke. It showed her with a shirt, without a shirt.
Oh, the Rick Ross meme?
Empowering. Then it showed Rick Ross is sitting there, and it was just like, nigga, put on a shirt.
Nigga, put on a shirt.
And then it said, post Lizzo allegations. It flipped around. It showed Rick Ross shirtless instead of empowering. And it said, with her, it said, nigga, put on a shirt.
Now, do you think she's going to be able to come back from this? I love having this conversation. We had the same conversation with Travis, too.
I honestly don't think this is crazy enough. And it's pretty crazy, but I think she's good.
It's wild, bro. Some of those stories were wild. I just
feel like unless they get her in 4K, I don't think people are going to care.
What does that mean to you, though? Because they already went on TMZ. They've been on Good Morning America. They're already getting the press run.
That's a good point.
So there's enough credibility here for people to be like, oh, okay, like these women seem credible enough for me to bring them onto this ABC, Disney, like this huge platform for them to actually speak their minds.
Because people have been saying that the whole media is turning on her. So maybe if the media is kind of the judge, jury, executioner most of the time, unless the grassroots gets on her, and the grassroots don't like Lizzo like that. So she might be out to dry. I think it's most likely she's done, but I still think there's a chance where she could argue it
because she's had such a clean image so far. You know,
and if they don't win the lawsuits, she might be fine.
And the lawsuits where it's like they would just get like a payment. They probably just get like a financial.
I think they're going to settle. Yeah.
Okay.
Financial payment.
Yeah, I don't know. It kind of plays into the cancel culture conversation a little bit too, because like Lizzo has had such, like I just said, Lizzo's had such a clean slate thus far. She was literally like one of the biggest brands a celebrity could possibly have in terms of, you know, how far reaching she is with the demographics. Children love her, adults love her, middle-aged people love her. I don't think there's any demographic that she doesn't touch. And for her to have such a clean image thus far, and then you have the one, and these are pretty grave accusations, but for her to have this one time where like she's getting accusations and people, if they're just going to defile her right here and right now, and it's just over for Lizzo, that cancel culture conversation comes up a little bit, which I don't really believe in that cancel culture conversation, because I don't think that, you know, just one thing, unless you go to prison and you're just locked away for 20 years, I don't think a career is just permanently going to be over. Lizzo is Lizzo. At the end of the day.
Yeah. Lizzo's Lizzo. She has her fans. She has people who don't care.